Hello everybody and welcome back to Farming Simulator 25 and welcome back to the New Frontier. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and welcome back to our survival challenge where we started from scratch with a tractor, or sorry, not even a tractor, with a truck. What else do we have? We had a chainsaw. Chainsaw and a truck. That's what we started with, folks. Now look at us. Look at us. We got a tractor. We had the property, obviously, but we have a tractor. We have a front loader. We have this beautiful piece of equipment which we picked up in the last episode. We have a silage bin over here, little silage place. We got a bucket for when we need to start working with that. But we also have our truck over here, which I worked late into the night for you guys, getting all the wood that we cut up in the previous episode loaded up. This is going to be the most ridiculous sell that we've had up to this point. I guarantee it. Right? Like, we've had up to $10,000. I feel like this is going to be more. Also, let me just quickly get rid of whatever that is. Okay, maybe I have to go the other way. Jumping with a chainsaw is not recommended. But welcome, everybody. Appreciate you guys all showing up and hanging out with me. Hope you guys enjoy the series so far. Been hearing a lot of good things about it. So I'm glad to hear it. Glad you guys are enjoying. But first things first, let's just jump into Bessie and get this party started, shall we? Alright. We got wood to sell so that we can get a little bit of money in the bank. So without further ado, let's do this. I'm going to take my time and get this there, so I will see you guys when we get to the sell points. Alright, so, surprisingly uneventful trip in, but yeah, let's see how much money we make. Put your guesses. Oh my god, she does not like it when we try to turn. We may have overdone it just a teensy bit, but hopefully we can get her backed in here, no problem. Alright, let's get her sold. Put your bets down in the comments below in 3, 2, 1, blam! $11,614, let's go! Oh, Bessie making her money today, baby. She is absolutely crushing it. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about what our plan is for the day while we drive back to the old property. Cannot believe we just started out with that much of a load. But, I mean, that just goes to show, like, cutting things into logs and being able to haul the logs is a big deal, right? Which kind of leads me towards the direction of what I want to kind of talk about today is we talked about the sawmill yesterday and starting that sort of production, but that costs a lot of money. The other thing that we talked about was getting a forage wagon, which also costs a lot of money. Now, we're going to try the windrowing and then see if the bucket can scoop up the clippings from the windrow a little bit easier. And if it can, then we don't need to worry about the forage wagon right now. Meaning that we'll start to put our money towards either the sawmill or a logging trailer. We have talked about the logging trailer in the past. I am about fed up with using the front loader to load trees at this point. I am much better off using the old cranes on the logging trailers. I am very good at that. And that is my preferred method of loading trees, if that's what we're going to do for the foreseeable future. Now, we are on hard economic difficulty, so I want you guys to remember that everything that we do is going to take a very long time to progress. So I always try to make each episode a little bit of a progression, you know what I mean? I want to make sure that we're making some progress each time that we do this this episode. So that's why we always try to set a goal for ourselves. And up to this point, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of meeting the majority of our goals. But yeah, as we go in here, let's go ahead and drop our log fork over here. We'll keep the bucket and the fork over here near the silage pit just to make them easy to locate. But we'll drop the old log fork there. We'll pick up the bucket because we will be getting ready to use that. And then, of course, Bessie already has the trailer on, as well as the back of the truck itself. I don't know if we can actually haul anything in that, but yeah, we're going to be dropping the weight as well, because we can't use that at the moment. I mean, we could probably put it on the front, but I don't think it's necessary. Actually, we can't. I forgot. This thing actually already has a weight on the front of the tractor. That is something I can't remove unless I go to the shop. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at getting rid of the weight. There we go. Had to find it. It's kind of hard to tell up there in the top left corner for me right now, so I apologize. But yeah, let's get this thing hooked up and see how she does at windrowing. For the first time ever, our first major implement for our tractor. I'm not seeing any grass on the ground, which is a little disconcerting. But I'm hoping that it's just where the grass grew up a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. But as the windrow comes out, we're going to go ahead and turn her on, lower her down, and just go around this area and see if we can't scrape anything that may be loose into a easier to manage pile. And yeah, you can see the grass starting to load in now. So it's still there. It's just kind of hidden by the new grass layer that has grown in already. Which bodes well for us when we decide to get a grass field up and running. So yeah, we're going to be able to do things with grass for sure out here, which is good. But we will definitely have to get some sort of like planting set up. We will need to get a field set up. I'd like to clear this entire hillside and turn it into essentially a grass field so that we have nicer grass here, get rid of all the little bushes and shrubs and all that crap, and just kind of make the most out of this area around the spring for the time being, because we don't really have a lot of area to work with right out the gate. But anything that we can get now is going to go a long way towards our future progress, right? So that is our job number one, is to start to like make profit off of the land that is sustainable. Because cutting trees, right now we have no way to replant the trees, so cutting the trees away is not sustainable. We will eventually run out if that's our only way of making money, and then we're SOL is the easiest way to put it. So we don't want to do that. We want to be able to make a sustainable living off of this area. And to do that, I think our easiest way of doing it would be to start doing grass, which we're already sort of working on. But in the end, like getting more out of this grass is going to be a big deal. So we need to start thinking long term instead of short term. It's easy to get caught up in the short term, but getting into some sort of planting setup where we can cultivate or plow the ground initially, and then be able to turn this area into a grass field that is going to give us a lot more bounty than what we currently have. That's going to be going a long ways towards helping us out. So that is the idea. And yeah, until we manage that, we're not truly surviving as much as we could be. So you can already see how much of a difference this implement itself made. Like we have managed to make nice, neat piles of grass. Now we could go ahead and turn these neat piles of grass into even bigger piles of grass, but I don't think it's necessary. I think this gets the point across that we now have a way of raking everything into nice, neat piles. But you can see if I go in here a little bit closer, we can start to combine these rows and make them one giant row to make them a little bit more manageable when it comes to picking it up with a bucket. Because right now, that's our only way of picking this up. So if we drive right here in between the rows, you can see that we have just enough working with to sweep everything into one big row from the two smaller rows. It may not be perfect, but it gets the job done, right? And I've managed to crash our brand new piece of equipment right into a tree. Day number 1. Love to see it. Alright, let's get this thing turned around and do the same thing. Not the crashing into the tree part, but clean up these couple of rows here into one bigger row so that we can easily manage it. Now, I guess the easiest thing would be to try to get the bottom section away from the pond or the spring. So that's what we're going to be trying to do here. Just try to get everything away from the spring if we can, because working in that little tractor that's kind of top heavy, that close to the edge of the spring, is just asking for trouble. So yeah, if we can stop having a potential problem there, that would be great. The last thing we want to do is tip our tractor over into the freaking spring. Alright, that should work. We'll come over here, drop her down again, pull that away, get it a little bit closer. Then we can turn this thing around. Now we should be able to combine these into one. Alright, so there's our windrowing done. Again, not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better already than having to deal with just using the bucket to try to scrape it off the ground. We can now clearly see where all the grass is. The grass is in a much thicker pile, so that we should be able to then easily fill the bucket, add it to whatever we want to do, which I think the quickest way would be simply to use the trailer at this point, right? So let's move the windrower out the way, and I will let you guys watch from a time lapse and see if we can make this happen. Otherwise, I guess I could see you after it's done. But yeah, let's just test my theory. Right there is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So much easier. Oh, we still didn't fill the bucket, though. I thought. I also didn't manage to get everything, somehow. There we go. Beautiful. Our first full bucket. Before, I wasn't able to even fill the bucket, and it took forever. But there, we have a much quicker way of filling the bucket. So, yeah, I'm not going to force you guys to sit here and watch through the snow. So I will either time-lapse this for you, or I will see you guys in a little bit, once we get some of this stuff cleaned up and put it in the old silage bin here. All right, so as you guys saw, there is actually the possibility that this is possible. Like we can totally do this. It does take a while, not gonna lie, but it's possible. Which means that picking up a forage wagon right away is not necessarily our priority. Does it take a while to do? Absolutely, but it's possible. Meaning we can focus on other means of potentially getting money in the short term. So, I think our goal is going to be to try to earn enough money to pick up a sawmill so that we can start to make some money via selling beams and planks and all of that. Or, one other way we could do would be to look into see how much it would cost to get a water tank of some sort, and then potentially do some sort of greenhouse. So we can look into all these options here in a second. Now that we have finished filling our bunker silo as best I can with our first cut ever on the old property, we'll go ahead, compact it, and cover it over for the winter, let it ferment, and we will have some silage come the springtime. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick. Only takes a couple of seconds here. I've been doing a pretty good job of maintaining the compaction throughout and trying to maintain a level. I also noticed that something that we do in real life when trying to level out stone or anything is scrape the bucket over the top in reverse. And that seems to do kind of the same thing here in this game, which I didn't know about. I've never seen anybody do that. Maybe it's a thing, maybe it's not. Maybe I just saw something and I equated it to something that happens in real life. I don't know. You guys can let me know. Yeah, I'll show you guys here in a second. Once we get this fully compacted. There we go. Now watch. As we drop the bucket down, I'm going to kind of drag it along the bottom here. I didn't do it that time. Hold on thought. We kind of went over a hump and immediately ended up... Yeah, so as we drag this back, you can see it does actually start to like pull things, allowing you to level it out a little bit. Again, not saying that it's the best way of doing it, but if you don't have a leveler, which is like a giant snowplow, it's a possibility. You could use it. So one thing I am going to do is try to clean up some of this that's around the front that kind of spilled out. Just try to get the little bit that spilled. You know, when you're trying to drive over this and all that, sometimes it spills out the front, the back, and the sides. And while it's not a lot, it would add up eventually. And early on, oh God, I've made huge mistake. Huge mistake. I tilted too far forward, ended up dumping more of it on the ground. I'm terrible. There we go. Perfect. Beautiful. Alright, and then we simply go in here. Dump that. It does reduce our compaction just slightly, so we can just drive over it real quick. And just like that, we're done. Alright, now, what we should be able to do is cover that over. Let me go ahead and put the bucket down because we don't need it for the time being. Put that bucket down. Shut the old Massey Ferguson off. If we come over here, we should be able to look at this and blanket the silo. It is going to be 17,206 liters. And so we go ahead and throw the blanket over it. Now you can see some of it is not under the blanket, so that chaff is going to be like left over. But for the most part, it is covered over. You can see there's some here at the back that probably won't ferment either. We'll see how that goes. But we should have a decent level. You can see it shows 16,587 liters worth of silage. So we ended up losing about 1,000 liters out the front and the back. So again, that's why we try to keep things towards the middle. But when you're compacting, things happen, right? Now, let's talk about our plan for the future, shall we? So let's go ahead and save. and then we will look into the equipment and see what we're getting. Now I know that the sawmill is 36,000, so if we want to go in that route, the sawmill will be 36,000. I mean, there's this little grape trailer, but we don't have any grapes, so that doesn't do us any good. But the other thing that I wanted to look at was, okay, forage wagon we knew was like 30,000 something. But the other thing was like a log trailer. So I kind of want to get into the forestry side and see what a log trailer is going to cost us with the crane. Now, obviously, I know that's going to be extremely expensive. But if we go wood transport, you can see that we do have these little trailers here right out the gate. And they're not super expensive until you put the crane on them. So if we started with this and we put the crane on, that immediately takes us up to needing $39,500 because the crane is stupidly expensive. What about this one? This one's even more expensive because the crane is $30,000. So yeah, not ideal, I think we can all agree. And this trailer is just a log trailer itself, doesn't come with the crane. But that would be good if you wanted to add to one of your other setups. So yeah, I think if we want to keep going with this, I think we could absolutely get this at some point. Worst case scenario, we start with this as a trailer. It is a ball hitch, or is that a? Does it matter? It's showing like a ball hitch here. So in theory, that would not fit a normal tractor? Question mark. But I'm sure it will. I'm sure it'll hook right up to our tractor, no trouble. But yeah. So that is, what did we say? $39,500 if we're going that route. And again, if we wanted to build the sawmill, the cheap option for the sawmill, $36,000. So we go down here. And you can see $36,000. And depending on where you put it, it may end up charging you more based on a little bit of potential, you know, whatever. But I would put this like somewhere back here towards the back. Just in the middle of the forestry area, out of the way, so that it's not like in the middle of our nice area. Because I do want to eventually plow this up. Now, that's the other thing that we were going to look at. So, before we do that, let's look into plows and seeders. Because I believe you need a seeder in order to plant grass. So, let's look at that. So, a plow, we go in here. We do have some potential for either a subsoiler or a plow. Plow's going to run us, we could get one right now, $14,000. It's not a very big one, and we do have the horsepower to run it, but we could absolutely make that a thing. This one has a little bit bigger working with, can be configured all the way out to 12, but it's way too much horsepower for us. Now, I do believe this is one that you could actually cheese by turning the plow around and putting it on the front of your tractor. Of course, our tractor doesn't have that option, so we need to pay attention to our actual plows. Now, this is actually pretty cheap. This is 1.6 versus 1.2, so this would actually be cheaper and requires about the same amount of horsepower. So, I think this would actually be our better bet. And this one's 11,000, but requires more horsepower, and we don't quite have the ability. So I think we could absolutely start tearing the ground up and plowing it under using this. I'm not worried about changing any of this stuff. We can leave it as is, just because I can't spend extra money. But $9,000 for that. Let's look at the seeder. That would be the next thing. So if we go into seeders, actually, let's go to grassland care. I think there's like a special, maybe we went over, I think there's a special, yeah, this thing here is possibly a seeder, right? Only 17,000. It has the roller and seating capacity, and is only capable of being used on grass and I believe that's spinach. So I don't think that's our best bet. I don't think that's our best bet. I think our best bet is to simply get a regular seeder. So if we look at the seeders, What is the cheapest cedar that we have? That 39,000 seems to be the cheapest. That is absurdly expensive, as with everything in this game. Seems to be extremely expensive. Also, it requires way more horsepower than we currently have, which I think we can all agree is no bueno. And yeah, in here, none of this can actually plant grass. I know it's a planter, not a cedar, but don't believe any of this has the ability to do grass, so yeah, that's not going to work either. So it's either we go with that this thing, which says that it can do seed, or like seeding, right? Like, if we put that on there, that's $21,000. It is capable of seeding. And it only requires, well, it still requires 100 horsepower, so it would slow our tractor down significantly, but it is possible. And it is the only thing, really, that gives us any chance whatsoever of making this work at the moment. So we got our ideas. I think we're going to have to hold off on the grass for the time being. We can cut what's natural and rake that up and put it in the silo, or in the bunker silo, try to make money that way. But yeah, we just can't afford anything else at this time. So I think the next thing on the docket would be either, oh, that's the other thing we could look at. We could look at a greenhouse. So if we go over here, there are some cheap greenhouses, and this is a very, very valid thing, but we would also need something to haul water to it. So you can basically go as much as you want to spend on a greenhouse, which is good news. But, like, we don't know exactly how much these are going to be in terms of cost, biomass heating. You can sell your harvested and produced, what? Oh, it's a selling point. I was like, wait, what? How did we screw that up? Okay, so I don't know exactly how much it's going to produce, but this is a okay, so that's rice saplings. We don't want to do that. We're not doing rice anytime soon. Even though rice equipment is relatively cheap. I mean, the harvester is a little expensive for wet rice, but yeah, if we went with like a small tarp greenhouse, it can produce anything from peppers and all that stuff, all the way up through lettuce, onions, tomatoes, strawberries, all that stuff. $9,000, and it's relatively inexpensive and small, so we could absolutely do something like this. We simply have to figure out a way to get water, right? So that'll be the next thing that we need to look at. If that's what we want to do to start making some money, where's the tankers? We need a barrel, right? They call them barrels in here, so that's a slurry tanker. We don't want that. Here we go. Now, we do have some cheap water tanks. This one here has a ridiculous quantity of water. It is a mod, so we could fill this thing up right here at our spring, not have to fill it up for quite a while, and we would be able to refill our greenhouse for a long time, if that's what we want to do. That's $10,000, but that only leaves us $4,000 in the bank, whereas this thing is only $5,800. It can only hold 2,000 liters, but our water's right here. We don't need to go that far to get water, so we could absolutely use this $5,800 and then go for a greenhouse. And I think that's probably going to be the quickest way to make money right out the gate. So let's go ahead and do that now. Let's set up a greenhouse. This is our first greenhouse. I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to do it there. Maybe we put the greenhouse over here on the other side. It says it overlaps with an object. I don't know what it's overlapping with, but oh, it's probably the grass or something. But if we turn off the ability, yeah, that's going to be $9,000. It is kind of digging into the hill a little bit. That's the downside. I think up here maybe. Like, how far into the woods can we put this? Like, I don't necessarily want it to be right here, right? So this is the end of our property. So we could put this back here. We could start like our greenhouses back here in the back. This might not be a terrible idea. Now again, I know that the land's not exactly flat, so it may struggle to place back here. Okay, what else? Maybe Like, we don't own that land up there, so we're right on the edge of what we're capable of doing. See, I'm just trying to figure out where we should put this stuff. Now, we could just go ahead and put this down towards the front over here. But I'm thinking this area right here is probably just our best bet. Like, this is the most flat area that we have. Yeah, I think this is probably where we put it. So let's go ahead and do that. It's $9,100 for a little bit of flattening and whatnot. I'm gonna give ourselves a little bit of extra room. That way we don't end up interfering with our bunker silo. So let's just go ahead and do that now. Place it. There we go. Now I hate how it's done this. I ain't gonna lie. It does do some terraforming, but it also makes everything look terrible. Not a big fan of that. But we don't quite have enough money to get the tanker at the time, so we need to do some more logging real quick. But we easily end up getting a tanker with no real effort here, because we only need what I think we said it was 5,800 total. So yeah, like that's one load, and we'll have way more than that. So that'll get us through the winter for sure. But having the spring right here, like there's not a lot of water on this map. You would have to dig a well, which would be extremely expensive anywhere else. Like if you're gonna dig a well anywhere out in the wild here, like it would be extremely expensive. So having our own spring right here is a absolute killer money saver. But yeah. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna cut down some of these trees. I'm gonna get them loaded onto the trailer. You guys know the deal. And then we will take it and sell it off. Now, I'm not going to probably cut down a gajillion of them right now. I lie. You guys know this. I'm going to be cutting all these down probably. So, all right. So, that didn't take us too long. I'm going to go ahead and time-lapse that probably. So you guys got to see just how much better at the whole claw and loading the trailer thing I'm getting. I mean, look. This is a pretty neat little load that we got going here, I think, compared to what I usually bring. I mean, look at this thing. Other than my Triceratops horns out the front, but look at this. I think I did a pretty good job here. I don't know if it's going to be a lot of money, but I mean that's what 5 trees, 4 trees, something like that. So should be pretty solid. So let's see how much we make, shall we? $7,500. Not bad, not bad. It's kind of what I figured, somewhere in that neighborhood. All right, let's get old Bessie over to the shop and see if we can't pick up this water tank. Now, I'm going to hope that the water tank, because we got plenty of money for it now, I'm going to hope that we can get the water tank and kind of roll it like back, like hoping it'll hook up to Bessie, and then we can kind of like back it up the ramp and into the trailer, and then haul everything back that way. That's my hope. But we'll see if that works out. I don't know if it's going to be able to hook up to our truck or not, but I'm hoping. Now, I will say this. We got enough money for the big one. But I don't know if I should get the big one or if I just, get the little one. There's no real reason to get the big one other than sheer laziness. All right, let's go ahead and put the ramps and then unfold the ramps. Set the trailer down. Shut old Bessie. Whoops. Y'all didn't see that. Shut old Bessie down. Save it real quick because we got a little bit of money in the bank. I honestly think because we're so close, there's no real reason to get a lot. But I think future-proofing is a thing. So, like, why settle for a small one when I can get one big one, right? And be done. And then I don't have to worry about getting a water barrel in the future. And then if we do expand our greenhouses, we just go from greenhouse to greenhouse and don't have to worry about filling up 100 times. So in that sense, I think this is the right choice. Also, it appears to have a ball hitch, which means it should, in theory, hook up to our truck, which should, in theory, allow us to back this onto the trailer if it's not too wide. But $10,000, Yeah, I think we actually. How much does it cost to go for like a red? Doesn't cost us a thing. Beautiful. Love it. Normal capacity? No, we go with the extra. This is $12,000. All our money is gone. Just like that. All our money is gone. But we got to get the extra capacity because, I mean, that's the whole purpose of this thing. It's either 7,000 or it's 200,000. I'll take the 200,000. So let's go ahead and take that, shall we? So now we've got us a water tank. Now the real question is, can we fit this thing inside our trailer? Now, obviously, it's going to allow us to pick it up, right? Like, it's got a ball hitch on the front. So, in theory, it hooks right up to our truck. Beautiful. Now, the question is, can I put this in the back of the other trailer? It's going to require some skill that I probably don't have. But if we can make it work... Yeah, I don't, it's too wide. It's too wide. Well, I mean, yeah, there's no extra hitch either. Well, shucks. I guess we're gonna have to make 2 separate trips after all, aren't we? So I guess I'll be back for the old ramp trailer in a little bit. Let's get this thing back over to the shop. I'll see you guys when we get there. Alright, so that didn't take us too long to get back. Now, I do want to go ahead and go down here and fill this thing up now, so I think the easiest way to do this would be to just come down here to the bottom. It seems like the perfect little spot to back a trailer into and get a little bit of water. Okay, maybe it's not the perfect little spot, but it's not bad. We could probably, like, dig this out a bit and make it a little bit easier access if we needed to. But I think this will work. Oh yeah, perfect. Fill this thing full capacity, 200,000 liters. All right. Now we've got 200,000 liters worth of water here, and we can come up here, fill up our greenhouse. There we go. And then we can just back this right along. Whoop, too hard. Calm down, Spartan. Back this right along here. All right, I do want to bring over our little ride mower. Bring it over a little bit closer. Now that we have kind of a designated area we're working in, we can keep our equipment and stuff relatively local. That way we know where everything is at any given moment. Make sure that the mower deck is in fact up, which it is. I love that the lever actually is visible, like it moves to where it should be. Like if I push the lever forward, it goes to the deck being down. So I have to keep an eye on that. That'll give us a little bit of a heads up as to which one's which. But yeah, we'll just park this old ride mower right here next to our greenhouse. We've got a bit of an area. Look at us starting to make something happen. Let's go ahead and open up our little greenhouse. It's not much, but it'll work. Now let's see what we can do with it. So we could make chilies. We could make garlic, lettuce, Napa cabbage, spring onion, strawberry, and tomatoes. Now, I'm no expert, But when I see ingredients like chili peppers, garlic, spring onions, tomatoes, like that to me says salsa. Is there any salsa in this game? Because like I'm really interested all of a sudden. I bet there is. Apparently not. Soup. Ah. See, I was thinking salsa. You got your tomatoes, you got your onion, you got some garlic, you got your peppers. Like it seems like the best thing. Now, how much do peppers sell for? 508 per 1,000 liters. Not the best. All right. Well, then what else can we do? Like garlic, maybe. Let's check out the garlic. Garlic sells for 508 per 1,000 liters. Okay. What about lettuce? Lettuce used to be a big money maker. Let's check that out. Lettuce sells for 11.19. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to beat some lettuce. It's hard to beat some lettuce. So yeah, I think lettuce is probably our best bet. But how many cycles per month? 1,008. So you get one pallet a month, essentially. The rest of these you would need 2 months to get a pallet. This one gives you a pallet a month. How much are tomatoes? How much are tomatoes? As somebody from Ohio, I'm kind of partial to tomato. Yeah, they're not nowhere near. All right, so looks like lettuce is going to be our mainstay. What about cabbage? I didn't look at the Napa cabbage. Like, what is the cabbage? It doesn't produce as much per month, but what is the price of Napa cabbage? Because that's the one we didn't look at. Napa cabbage. There it is. $3.90. It's the worst one. Shocker. Not a lot of people eating a bunch of cabbage. I mean, I love some cabbage and some, like, I don't know, just all sorts of things. There's a lot of ways to use cabbage. But, yeah, I think our number one is going to be lettuce. So let's go ahead and start that lettuce process. Now, if we were to activate another one, does that cut into or does it continue to make them at the same rate? So, like, if I were to say, I don't know, start up tomatoes. Okay, that's 1,056. That's 1,008. So it's not actually costing us anything extra. Like, it's not eating into our production. It still says that it's going to be able to make 1,008 cycles per month. So why would I not just turn everything on? Right? Like, if they're always going to make the same amount, why wouldn't I have everything? And then we can sell everything. I thought that if you turned on, like, say, lettuce, it would grow lettuce in all the things. And then if you turned on anything else, it would slow down the amount of production, right? But according to this, like, it doesn't. It doesn't reduce the cycles unless it's a hidden change. But according to that, it didn't reduce it at all. But yeah, I'm liking this. We're doing a thing, folks. We're doing a thing. We've got our greenhouse. We've got things all nice and set up. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic. So, with all of that being said, I want to say thank you guys so much for sticking that out with me. I hope you guys are enjoying the series so far. Let me know down in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys punch that subscribe button. If you like what I'm doing, punch the like button. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you in the next video.